spoken word you were singing over me. You have been so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. Well, you have been so kind to me. And only overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. Well, I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Only overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Yeah. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. Well, you have been so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. And I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. And only overwhelming, ever-ending, reckless love of God. Yeah. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Only overwhelming, ever-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. Well, I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Only overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, there's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me.
Welcome to Hope Church. We are getting ready for Sunday service. We hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving. My name is Mary Harsh. I'm the Children and Youth Director here at Hope Church. My pronouns are she, her. This morning, as we get started, we'd like you to take a moment to, if you have the app, open up your app and check in so that we can record your attendance and know that you were there or here joining us. And I was going to show you my app, if I can get it open. Hope Church app check-in right down at the bottom. All right, it's pretty easy and self-explanatory. Also, if you would like to give, there's opportunities for that in the app as well. And we have our regular giving, and we also still have our Open the Doors for Good campaign going on. Let's see. Today joining me is
Anna. I'm the administrative assistant here at Hope. If you haven't gotten enough of me already, welcome. My pronouns are she, they, and also on the app we have a very fun chat feature if you want to get connected even while we're still online. You can absolutely reach out through that, and Jenny or Mary will text back whenever you send them a message, and don't be afraid to reach out. They would love to talk to you. And now, before we start our service, let's get into our prayer statement. Dear God, as Hope Church, we pray this place is for absolutely everyone. We are a place for theological thought and conversation, and we are a community learning to live Christ-centered lives. Amen.
I wanna be where my feet are. I wanna breathe the life around me. I wanna listen as my heart beats right on time. I wanna be where my feet are. I chase my worries, I flee my sorrows, but what you give me is now. So take my burdens and my tomorrows. I wanna be where my feet are. I wanna be where my feet are. I wanna breathe the life around me. I wanna listen as my heart's right on time. I wanna be where my feet are. I run to capture the next horizon, but what you give me is here, and I get no farther, but still I find you. I wanna be where my feet are. 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 The ground below me is how you hold me. I wanna be where my feet are.
So we're on part 3 of our conversation about living life in the transitions and how to do that in the most healthy way. Transitions are something that we all have in our lives. Some of them are really joyful and fun and life-giving, and many of them are grief-inducing, are sad, are hard. And we started by talking about the agency we have in responding to transitions in our life. And last week we looked at ways, instead of avoiding or denying or wallowing in them, ways that we can accept what's happened, find a way to mark it or ritualize it. And in the midst of doing that, we get the opportunity to sort of, okay, who am I now? And what of my past self do I want to shed? And what new disciplines or practices do I want to take on? And we get to decide how we're going to tell that story. And that's what we want to talk about today.
Yes, and honestly, I think this is the part that I'm most excited for because I feel like this is something that I've been thinking about a lot recently.
Really?
Yeah.
So when you say you've been thinking about it a lot, say more.
Yes. Well, like thinking about how I like derive meaning in my own life, how I want to define my story, I guess you could say. Because I feel like I've mentioned this before in this sermon series, but a lot of the time I find myself like not like letting my life, my actions, my story be defined by what like I think other people expect of me. So it's like I am taking away the agency of like I'm not the author anymore. It's like
Happening
everybody
to
else.
you.
Exactly. Yes.
Or what it's supposed to be.
Yes. And I think that's why just kind of like the pure creative freedom I guess we have with our own lives, with how we want to write our story. I'm really going in with the metaphors here.
Yeah.
But that can be so scary because, at least for me, I feel like there's a right way, and it's like, what is that right way?
You know, I'm probably not going to say there's a right way.
Well, yeah.
You know, that first week we talked about the story of the prodigal son, and there are so many ways to understand that. That was a story Jesus told to help people understand who God is and what God is like. And there are so many ways that you can understand that story. Like you can understand the younger son who runs away and spends all the money as like the bad guy, and the older son is the poor. He was home working hard the whole time, but there's another way to see that story where the younger son learns who he is, and the older son has to take a second to figure out who he is. He hasn't actually gone through that identity formation in the same way. And
Exactly. And I think that some of like the most important events or like things in our lives end up being like when we mess up in a really major way.
Yeah. Sometimes when we mess up, that is when we learn who we are, and when we get to decide, okay, what habits do we need to shed?
Exactly.
What are some new disciplines we want to take on?
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
And I also think of, as I've shared before, in 2022, I had 2 dear friends who died and 3 uncles who died. And I look at, in every case, the surviving partner, and they have had to figure out who they are now.
Yeah.
And how they're going to live their story, because while they all have community and people who love them, including Ryan and me, it's not the same. They lost their best friend.
Yeah.
And they are having to figure out life in a new way. So sometimes the bad decisions we make.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the stuff that happens to us, and it is how what's the new story? How are we going to talk about this? And when in writing this book, one of the things that the author, Bruce Feiler, and the book is called Life is in the Transitions, one of the things he did was research how sociologists and theologians define the word story, trying to give a common definition, and just learned nobody had a common definition for what makes a story. Yeah, they said a thing has to happen and another thing has to happen, and they need to have something that connects them.
Yeah. Okay. That's a very loose definition.
But what everyone agreed with is that for a story to have power, somebody has to give it meaning. And you can say that the teller of the story can give it meaning, but really the hearer of the story is also giving it meaning.
Yeah.
And often if the teller and the hearer get to be together, they get to do it together. But for your own story, there is some agency in claiming that for
Absolutely.
yourself.
And I think, again, like going back to what we talked about in like the first part of the sermon series, like that just can give you so much like peace and clarity and just like the mental tools to deal with whatever transition that you're facing.
Yes. Claiming that story, that's exactly what it is. It gives you the tool to deal with it. Who am I now?
Yeah.
Like, who is Hope Church now that we're not a church that shares with the bank? Now that we own our own building, sort of how does that change who we are? And what does that say to our broader community? But how do we claim this narrative ourselves?
Exactly.
We could say that there were those who wanted to close Hope Church, and that's not the narrative we have focused on. It's how do we open our doors and keep them open for good and continue to be a place for everyone. There's lots of ways after major surgery, after job loss, like who are you now? And you get to define that for yourself. And from a faith perspective, you could say, we want to remind each other regularly that no matter what, we're all children of God. So it doesn't matter, like in that prodigal son story, the father loved both of those kids, did not have more love for one or the other, the one that had stayed there and worked hard, the one who had found himself and come home, the older son still trying to find himself, and the father hearing that, and he actually encourages his son like, hey, everything that I have is also yours. What do you need? Do you need a party? What do you need to really discover who you are? And the dad tries to set the narrative of everyone is welcome here. That is the narrative of faith that I believe, absolutely.
Yes, and I think that is so important, just like being open and ready to like embrace anyone regardless of the situation where they're at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wherever you are in your story, like you're a beloved child of God. Out of the void, God created everything, and specifically for human beings, called them very good. So that's where I start. And it's a skill to learn how to make meaning of our life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's not easy, is it?
Yeah. And I think part of what makes it so difficult is that you can think that you have your story figured out, you have like the perfect definition of it in your head, but it's like the nature of life that things change, that you change. And so like you can look back and you thought that you saw your story through one lens, but actually like
Yes.
there are so many different ways that you can look at it.
Absolutely. Like I could say, oh, I'm from a small town. I'm a small town girl. That's who I am. But I've also traveled quite a bit, not as extensively as I could still travel, but have experienced different things, lived in the city, lived here in Bloomington Normal. I don't know how long you have to live in Bloomington Normal to say that you're a townie. I've lived here since I was an adult, but I think you're truly a townie.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Can't argue with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that like in my own life, like I can let that define me. I can be the Tony for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Or I can choose to be different, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, what does it mean to say someone's a townie? And like, if it simply means a factual thing of you were born in this town, you didn't come here for college, but it comes with different connotations, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. And again, that story is it the person who said it, the person who heard it, that's making the meaning. So this is what the author says. I want to get this just right. He said, making meaning of our life stories is the most indispensable but least understood skill of our lives.
Wow.
The most indispensable but the least understood skill of our lives. So let's give another example here. Let's say let's say that you've been laid off from your job. The way you can make meaning there, as you reflect on all that happened that led up to that and what you're going to do next, you can choose to say it like this: I was fired, and I hate that company, and I can't believe they did that to me, and I just have no idea what I'm going to do. That's one accurate way to say that. And that is true for a moment, no matter what. But maybe as you go a little bit further down the road, it's like, gosh, I was laid off from XYZ company, and that gave me the opportunity to do this freelance, or I stepped into a company I never would have known about, or whatever.
Yeah, and I know that actually a similar situation happened in my family.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom got laid off, and rather than like just like staying there in that unfortunate situation, like in the sadness of the moment, she's like using it as an opportunity to pursue her passions, like that she hasn't really gotten a chance to like seriously put her energy into. And so it's been actually really like almost like an empowering experience, oddly enough, like getting laid off your job. Who would have thought?
I mean, it's hard too, but you choose how you make that meaning.
Exactly.
Yeah. The author says that meaning is enduring, whereas happiness, like you can feel happy and it's like about the present. I feel happy sitting here with you. I feel happy knowing that all that's left to move is what we can see in this room. But that's sort of a fleeting moment, whereas that happiness is fleeting, it's in the present. Meaning making is enduring, and it stitches together the past and the present and the future. So we do this when we talk about our families, and you can choose a lot of different angles, and it is about what is most powerful for you when you personally are making that meaning. You don't have to take meaning that others have
thrust upon you.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I just like, I really love the conversation that we're having here, just because I feel like it gives gives you so much like agency in situations where you just like normally people look at them and it's like, oh well, this sucks and like this happened to me. What do I do now? Like where do I go?
The author interviewed thousands of people as they told their own stories. And he discovered that people came up with really 5 kinds of stories. And it's interesting to look at because these were all people at the ends of their lives. And I mean, we don't know when the end of our life is, but they were in the age range that it's likely the end of their lives.
Yeah.
And he found 5 central themes, and I'm going to just share these kind of quickly so that we can all think through, I wonder which of those I fall into. One theme that came up repeatedly was one of struggle. My life was repeatedly hard. I had a hard childhood. My young adult life was hard. My marriage was hard. Old age has been hard, and really the common theme of my life is struggle. That was one way. Another common theme was one of service. And what's interesting is people didn't have to have wildly different lives to see them in wildly different ways. Service was more the people that talked about, here are the things that I did throughout my life to try to make the world a better place, and kind of made that the central theme of their lives. Others, it was about self-actualization. It took me this long to discover who I am, and here are the things I did in my life to discover who I am. That is a very popular theme at Hope Church because we have many people who were told that who they are wasn't acceptable.
Yeah.
Particularly at church.
Yes.
And so it really is, maybe that is part of your journey, is claiming this is who I am. And it is very good.
And I think that like what this kind of list of different themes, well, it shows for one, like just like the nuance of life, because like you don't have to define your life by like a single theme. Like your life can be defined by struggle, but that struggle can also lead to like self-actualization.
Yes.
And I think again, it also just points to how like when faced with kind of the same or like a very similar chaos, like it's ultimately kind of up to us how we interpret that chaos and how we like arrange it into our story.
Exactly. Because the final, that leads perfectly. The final 2 central themes that he saw when talking to people in their later years was a theme of gratitude and a theme of love. And again, these were people who had also experienced struggle, who had also needed to define who they are. And you can choose to look at your life through gratitude and through love. I am really hoping, and future Jenny may regret saying this on this date, but as we conclude this 3-part series on transition, I am praying that we are about to transition inside our new space.
Yes.
And about to gather and worship together. I'm sure I'm typing notes. Future Jenny is typing notes right now if you're on that app chat or in Facebook about where we're going to be on December 3rd. But I'm trying to write that story.
Yeah, no, I love just like the confidence you have in the people at home and the faith.
Yeah.
It's honestly so encouraging.
Well, we saw people 4 weeks ago now move everything out in about 7 hours plus another day of trips. So
oh my gosh.
Hopefully we're headed toward those 16 hours or so of moving back in very soon.
Yes.
As we watch this. So We love you, Hope Church, and can't wait to be together in person again.
Yes. Thank you so much for this conversation, Jenny. And thank you guys for being here to watch along with it.
Oh, you prisoners in your cells, all you in private hells, Kyrie eleison. Oh, you hungry and ignored, who thirst for something more, Kyrie eleison. You feel so lost but are afraid of being found. You are in chains but are afraid to live unbound. Kyrie eleison. Kyrie eleison. For all us lovely, needy people living in this world that's spinning round and round and round, round and round and round. For all us lovely, broken people living in this world that's spinning round and round and round, round and round and round. Lord, have mercy. Christ, have mercy. Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison. You children ripped and torn, battered, bruised, and worn, Kyrie eleison. All who look hate in the face, locked in hate's embrace, Kyrie eleison. You've given up and can't see anywhere but down. You've lost all hope and think it's nowhere to be found. Kyrie eleison. Kyrie eleison. For all us lovely, needy people living in this world that's spinning round and round and round, round and round and round. For all us lovely, broken people living in this world that's spinning round and round and round, round and round and round. Lord, have mercy. Christ, have mercy. Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison. There is mercy enough, there is grace enough, there is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough, there is grace enough, there is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough, there is grace enough, there is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough, there is grace enough.
Hey, thanks for watching Hope Church. You may have noticed that the last 4 weeks we were in the same spot. I was in the same clothes. Those were all pre-recorded in 1304 East Empire. Coming next week, there's a fresh new sermon series called The Advent We Actually Have, and we're actually not together still. I miss your faces. Please let me know if there's any way that we can connect with you, if anything's going on. We want to know. Love you and miss you so much. Goodbye.
Hello.